Good morning. This is entitled Correcting Mistakes, or really should be like just fine tuning, because mistakes. As long as you're making forward progress, you're not making mistakes. You're just maybe walking into situations that you need to correct. As far as alignment is a big thing. So I've got two examples here. I've got this one. You can see I need to knock some weight off of it. And check that out. Oh, beautiful alignment. Look at this side. Really, considering the twists and the ganks and the recurving and the sinew backing, which can change things, and the snake on that limb, it's pretty darn good. But it's not perfect. It needs to look like this. And so I do have to correct the alignment on this tip. Now it's sinew back. So how the heck do I heat it? And I'm not going to steam it because it's sinew back. So dry heat is the only option. How do I do that without, risking that heat getting on the sinew and doing bad things perhaps? And that's where I get to creating a heat shield, where I have some form of heat shield here. And then I cut out a rectangle that's going to allow me to get a good amount of heat on that belly, but it's not going to overlap here. I have a curve here, so it would be kind of hard to use plywood. And so I'm going to use maybe a couple layers of cardboard. Why not? And cardboard's cool because you can glue them together, and get a shape. So I don't need to fight the shape of the recurve. And maybe I'll take aluminum foil, which I've done in the past, and I put it over my heat shield and then take some and curl it around the inside of that rectangle and then bond it, somehow. And then I'll clamp this part into my shaving horse with my Jorgensen clamp and take another Jorgensen clamp. And now this is the tricky part, because they're heavy on one side, right? And I was very careful. I know what these arrows mean on here. I wrote them all over the place. I need to curl this way, right? So I'm going to have it on the bench on this, belly side up. And the Jorgensen clamp is going to be clamped on the tip and going this way. So that's going to do a couple things. It's not going to be strung, of course. Is that Jorgie on this tip is going to add weight to it to keep this recurve into it. And it's also going to want to twist the tip this way to un-F itself. Sorry for my rough language, but that's the way I talk sometimes. And so that's it. And I always draw arrows all over the place. They don't need to be right here. I need to bend this way. As long as I've got my arrows on that bow that aren't going to be covered with the clamps, I know which way I need to twist it to straighten it. And look at this. When you really figure it, I don't need to bend it that much. And I'm going to think about this. Is that truly the direction I need to tip it? Yes, it is, because I can see it kind of going off this way a little bit. And that's bows, man. You do something, and sometimes it doesn't work out perfectly, and you have to figure out a resolution. Number 2, correcting mistakes. Now let's just take one of these things, because it dramatizes it to a good degree. And it talks, it could be a statement, it could be anything. A board bow, stave bow, whatever. Order of operations. I'm going to gull wing it. Well, let's back up. I'm just going to list these things, and they're not in any order, right? What am I going to do to this? Well, I'm just going to pick out what I'm going to do. I'm going to fire harden it. I'm going to shape the back, tiller it. In this case, you can tiller it by rounding it back and then sanding it off. It's actually kind of quicker to round the back and then tiller it on the back. You don't have to always tiller a bow on the belly. If it's a board bow, 6 1/2 dozen of others. So I'm going to round the back. I'm going to fire harden it. I'm going to shape it into a gull wing. What are the what are probably the best steps to do it? And I sold one of these things, a kit. It has the sinew and the glue and the tailoring string and all that stuff to a fella who, by all practical purposes and observations, is really enjoying the heck out of this thing. He's having fun. You know, he spent the money for it, and it seems like he's getting that much money in fun of doing it, you know, aside from the fact he's going to have a pretty decent bow because he knows what he's doing. Okay, so first of all, probably, and you don't need to do it in this order because he's doing it in a different order and it's working out, but this is how I would do it. I would round the back first because it would be easier to round the back when it's straight. It just would. Not making it impossible by skipping that order, but you know, it would just be easier. Then rounded the back. Then I would tiller it. I wouldn't get it tillering full draw, but you can see, you can judge with a minor bend. What's the weight going to be? Then you add a bit for the sinew backing because it will add to the draw weight. Okay, so I'd round the back and I'd tiller it first. Then I would steam bend it before I fire harden the belly because you're changing the belly and it will probably steam bend easier with less possible of getting a little crack in the belly, which I get from time to time. It's of no consequence, really. You get like just a little transverse crack, whatever. Fill it with Titebond 3, whatever. You know, you're not killing the bow if you get that minor crack, but you're going to avoid it a little more if you're rounded, the belly's rounded, you know, or the back's rounded and you tillered it because you're removing wood from it and it's easier to bend skinny wood than thick wood. Okay. And easier probably than steam bending fire hardened wood. Okay, so first round the back. I keep saying round the belly. Round the back, tiller it, steam bend it, then fire harden it. You're not going to take really. In fact, you're going to probably get a little bit more deflex in the limbs when you fire harden it, but the sinew will reflex it. So, you know, it's kind of a zero sum. And if you're fire hardening it after you get the reflex back, all you need to do is just add pressure to it. You know, you're holding it like this and bending it, you know, and you're probably going to be fine. Chances are you're going to be fine. And then, you know, you've rounded it back, tillered it, you've steam bent it, you've fire hardened it, sinew back it, and off to the races you go. And you can, with these, this is, again, modeled after an actual real live bow. You can take these shoulders and then just sand these off if you want tapered tips, like another one I made. It doesn't matter, but again, this was modeled after an actual real hickory self-bow horse bow. And so, you know, it's within the guidelines. Okay. So what do? Our friend that bought one of these and he fire hardened it and he steam bent it and went well. It was a little off of alignment. And you know what? Maybe half the time when I'm steam bending a reflex in a going, somehow the handle gets a little off and it's not aligned right. Well, what do? Can you steam bend it again without damaging the wood? Yes. You know, sometimes I'll steam bend the gull wing in. Then I will put a block between my form and the handle and steam bend it again to get an even more exaggerated gull wing. You know, you can steam bend it multiple times. It's not going to kill the wood. But what do you do if it's not in alignment? I like that. Spooky time is look at this. I'll put a block here and then clamp it. And so I will steam it and then I can put this over my knee and pull on both limbs, and this block will keep, yeah, sorry, the light is kind of spastic here. It'll keep it from sliding off, and I can bend it back until it's straight. A lot of times I'll steam it, and I won't be steaming anything else, and I'll lay it on the ground and then just pour the remainder of the water, or if you're doing it inside, put this over the sink and pour that hot water to help set it. You know, and you might think, oh my gosh, I'm putting so much water into that wood. It was down to 9%. Now it's up to 150% because I steamed it and poured hot water on it. Well, let's set that down here. A lot of times I will go to other sites. We as bow makers, we're working with wood, right? And so you want to check what are the actual scientific results in fire hardening. You go to construction associations and they actually have laboratories and they do that testing, you know, more so than bow makers. We don't have the laboratories and the facilities to do all this testing on wood, so you go to the construction industry. What about steam bending? I go to woodworking sites. I mean, people, there's probably been more people within the last 150 years or whatever that have done scientific research on steam bending and this, that, and the other thing. You know, woodworking sites, just strictly woodworking sites. And what I found in my research on steam bending is it actually dries the wood. You're not putting water into the wood when you're steam bending. You're removing moisture from that wood. So it's best to allow that wood to then reacclimate to its, you know, dried moisture levels before you start putting stresses on it. I mean, we're talking about Windsor chairs and all sorts of stuff that have been made for forever, and there's a ton of steam bending that goes on with furniture making and other forms of woodworking. So I went to those sites and read enough information to know that you're removing woods or removing water. Plus, if you're sinew backing, it's going to be you're adding wet sinew to the back, so you know, c'est la vie. And then let's send the last part of correcting mistakes is, you know, seriously, I moved from a place where I had a wide range to just go out and shoot bows and arrows. And I had a job that allowed me to have energy to make bows and arrows, unlike my current one. And so, yes, my videos had a lot more shooting videos than I'm doing now. You know, I pile up a bunch of cardboard and shooting in the garage because I really am kind of limited to my city lot. I'm a townie now. I'm not in the same environment as I've lived the majority of my life. But I do have areas to do that, and, you know, I will. Robert, never fear, I am going to. I've got a bunch of arrow shafting here. I've got feathers. Make some arrows so I can make matched arrows for this huge variety of bows that I produce. You know, and do more shooting videos. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to edit, but, you know, do more shooting videos. You can go back, you know, in my library and see like all these forms of bow shooting, but I appreciate that you want to see some action and not just me yammering on and on. But I was kind of pleased, you know, my business model, which isn't really much of a business model because it changes every day. You know, I mentioned it's fun. It would be fun to take like a group of these things and just make them in different ways to see the differences. Pardon me. And last night, you know, it's like I get some person, you intrigued me. How much would it cost to buy 3 of your blanks? You know, and I'll do that. And so, you know, honestly, it's like you can do things in quantity. You're sitting down and you're doing repeat processes, and there's a time savings when you're doing the same thing over and over again, step by step. And so it's like, yeah, sure, Chuck. How about this? You know, I sell these blanks for $60 a piece. How about you buy 2, you get 1 for free? So $120 for 3 bow blanks. You know, and who knows? Maybe you could sell one for a little bit of money, or donate it to the wild game dinner so you can get free tickets. Whatever, you know, because they are nice shooting bows, but some people just like to hang them in their man cave because it's a BA bow. And then other fellow, Robert, yeah, it's like, you know, I've got plans. I have one more commission bow to work on. My apologies, Trapper. You know, it takes a long time, you know. I wish I had the ability just to sit down and make bows all day, every day. That I would be in hog heaven if I did that, but it doesn't work out that way, so you wait. So I only have one more commission bow. That one that I need to straighten the recurve on is not going to take much time at all. I just, not as much time to do as finding my heat gun, let's just say, because of the move. But then I can do stuff. I can do stuff just at the whim, at the drop of a fur hat. You know what I want to do. And I'm going to make a bunch of these little horsebow things. And again, if you're doing it step by step by step, I've got many bending forms. I'm going to do runs of those things that will be sinew back ready. It'll be tillered and back shaped, and it'll be gull winged and heat hardened. And I'm doing multiple bows at once. And so I'll be able to offer those things. And then seriously, my friends, I think it is about time to start making home guards out of that big old block of elm there. I need to make some real live elm home guards. Yep, that's about it. I'm going to cut this off right now. The bacon is probably done cooking because this is day off. Last night on day off eve, I was so happy I didn't have to go in today. But I'm going to celebrate by eating thick, triple smoked bacon with the cats. That is all. That's enough.